Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bonsoir tout le monde. Welcome to our council meeting of Monday, February 10th, 2025. I have with me Councillor Lior Azarad, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Mitch Kajaski, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Cindy Bidisri, Councillor Mike Cohen. We also have our Associate City Manager, Tanya Bradford, and we have Florine Abiginahu, our city clerk, and we have Darryl Levine as communications. So thank you all for being here. Merci tout le monde. Before we start the meeting, I want to show a video and then, we should move the adoption. Of course, Mike, move the adoption of the agenda, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I so move that the agenda for this evening's meeting of February 10th be adopted.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad. All in favor? The agenda is adopted. So now we can do the video and then the rules and the land acknowledgement, and then you do it in the order you wish. Land acknowledgement, then the video, I guess, then the rules, and then the questions.
Justice, devoir du souvenir, liberté culturelle et inclusion sont des valeurs chères à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Nombre de nos résidents et leurs descendants ont construit leur vie ici, après avoir fui des situations difficiles ailleurs. Le Canada a été leur refuge. Mais pour les peuples et les communautés autochtones, les politiques gouvernementales au Canada ont créé des injustices. The island of Montreal, where we are meeting today, has a much older name, Chokshage. It was a historic gathering place for many indigenous communities. It was also the site of diplomacy, including the Great Peace of Montreal. Nous remercions la nation Gagnou-Geaga, également connue sous le nom de la nation Mohawk, pour son hospitalité sur un territoire non cédé. We must acknowledge the past, so that we can move forward in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Le Conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc permet au public de poser des questions lors de ces séances du Conseil, en français ou en anglais. Veuillez lire les procédures et les règles de la période de questions à l'arrière de la salle. Enfin, il est interdit d'utiliser un langage violent, offensant ou irrespectueux pour poser une question au maire.
The Côte Saint-Luc City Council allows the public to ask questions at its council meetings, in French or English. Please read the question period procedure and rules at the back of the room or at cotesaintluc.org. Finally, no person may use violent, offensive, or disrespectful language when addressing a question to the mayor.
Okay, so before we proceed, we have a video that we're going to show that we just published about the Hydro project and the hearings that are taking place at the BAP. It's all going to be explained in the video, so I'll let it speak for itself. And then if anybody has questions during question period, they're free to ask. I want to talk to you today about an important project that will affect our city, Hydro-Quebec's plan to upgrade our power system. This project is great news for everyone in the West End. I want to brief you on the project and answer your questions and concerns. The phase of the project in Côte Saint-Luc is scheduled for 2026 to 2029. Actuellement, les lignes électriques qui desservent nos maisons et nos entreprises sont devenues obsolètes. Elles ont été construites à une époque où la demande d'électricité était beaucoup plus faible. Or, aujourd'hui, nous consommons plus que jamais la climatisation, le chauffage, les appareils électroménagers, les ordinateurs, et maintenant, les voitures électriques. To keep up with this demand and to avoid blackouts, Hydro-Québec is upgrading the system from what's called 120,000 volt lines to 315,000 volt lines. This upgrade will give us more reliable power with fewer disruptions, and it will allow the electrical grid to handle future energy needs. The electrical power runs on electrical lines held in the air by pylons. Since our first discussions with Hydro in 2018, we advocated that they bury these wires to get them out of sight. We had a lot of meetings with Hydro, but the bottom line is that Hydro says burying the lines is too costly and makes future repairs more difficult. Ces lignes resteront donc aériennes, mais il y a quelques améliorations importantes à mentionner. Tout d'abord, les fils seront plus hautes dans les airs. Ainsi, si vous voyez actuellement ces fils à haute tension par la fenêtre de votre cuisine, vous les verrez peut-être un peu moins. Second, the number of pylons in Côte Saint-Luc is being reduced from 16 pylons to just 9. That's a big improvement to the visual landscape. Third, in some cases, the pylons will be pushed back so that they are further away from homes. In other cases, Hydro is considering an alternative route that will move the pylons entirely out of the area. This is our preference, and we will continue to advocate for this alternate route during the public hearings at the BAP. So that's what's going on with the pylons and the wires. Hydro will also be upgrading the electrical substation, which is near the Mount Sinai Hospital. The good news is that all equipment that's currently visible outdoors will be moved indoors and out of sight, and the building will be a bit further away from neighbors on Haywood than it is today. I mentioned before that we've been meeting with Hydro about this project since 2018. This includes a working group made up of city staff, council members, and residents. The group discussed all key issues. It was at these meetings, for instance, that the city and residents asked Hydro to bury the lines. While they did not agree to do that, they were able to push the lines away from homes. Une réunion d'information a également eu lieu au Centre communautaire et aquatique le 5 juin 2023. Au cours de cette réunion, tous les résidents ont pu poser des questions et exprimer leur opinion. En résumé, Hydro a reçu de nombreux commentaires de la part de la ville, de groupes de travail et des résidents directement. Et je pense que ce feedback a fait la différence en ce qui concerne l'emplacement des pylons. The next step is the public information session at Quebec's Environmental Review Board called the BAP. Quebec will study Hydro's plan to ensure that it takes into account the environmental needs, which includes the needs of the public at large and those living near the pylons, wires, and substation. You can share your opinion at Le Rink in Town-o'-Mount Royals Industrial Park. You can also watch it live as a live stream. Check the link in the description that was posted with this video. To sum up, this upgrade to the electrical system is greatly needed for current and future needs. We are happy that the West End is getting this much-needed investment. Côte Saint-Luc et ses résidents se sont exprimés pendant de nombreuses années et au cours de nombreuses réunions pour s'assurer que Hydro-Québec a compris nos préoccupations et les a examinées. Okay, so that gives a good summary of the history with respect to this upgrade project and how we've been involved, but it's not over. In terms of the final consultation period is at the BAP on Monday, February the 17th, and you can go to Le Rink at 8355 Mount View in Town-o'-Mount Royal, or watch it live on the BAP website and on its Facebook page. And you can ask questions if you have further questions. Our preference, as stated in the video, is to have the pylons, the lines move back further. There's two different routes, as was explained, and any encouragement, if anybody does attend, to support our position is certainly appreciated. Okay, so we explained the rules of question period. So I guess we can start with the questions. I have some paper. Okay, good. Paper questions, and then anybody that has anything online. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. So Norman Sabin, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to ask a question about the intersection of Cavendish and Kildare, which is a bit of a bottleneck, especially in the morning rush hour. And I want to offer a suggestion that maybe your traffic committee might consider. I don't know when your traffic committee is meeting next. Is there anything in the offing in the traffic? March? So the issue is that there's really only one, when you're on Kildare heading east, making a right onto Cavendish heading south, there's only one turn lane to make the right turn, right? There's 3 lanes on Kildare. There's a left lane, a center lane, and a right lane. And Cavendish, you turn onto 3 lanes onto Cavendish, but you can only use the right lane to make your right turn. So the question is, can we do any better than that? Could we maybe have 2 lanes that could turn right and increase the volume of traffic that can get through in any given time. Especially when the 161 is there, you know, the 161 blocks, when the 161 bus stops there, it blocks traffic and you're not allowed to make a right turn from the middle lane. So for maybe the traffic committee might want to consider whether we could find a way to have 2 right turn lanes from Kildare onto Cavendish. This might be a great thing because the morning rush hour can get pretty congested there. And of course we can cut our GHG emissions if we have, you know, better traffic flow there too. So I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe your traffic committee take a look at it. It's not a slam dunk. It has to be done properly. There has to be good signage. People have to realize there'd be 2 right lanes turning, and you know they have to respect each other as they're making the turn. But I think it's worth considering when the 161's there, and it's there quite often. It blocks everything, and people have to wait for the next traffic cycle.
Mr.
So I
Mayor,
just wanted to put
can I
that
have
out there.
clarification on that?
Sure, go ahead,
Yeah,
Councillor Azarad.
just a clarification. So the middle lane would be either right and straight, because
Yeah.
if it would be both turning only right, we'd have a problem with the left lane when they're going left. So I just
Yeah.
want to make sure you're recommending both straight and right.
Yeah,
The
exactly
middle lane.
right.
Okay, thank you.
For example, at the Carrie and Côte Saint-Luc Road, as you're probably aware now, they're allowing Côte Saint-Luc Road to make the middle lane and the right lane can make a right turn onto Carrie heading south. It'd be the same idea here. It would be, you know, we have just as wide an area turning onto Cavendish. Those turns seem to get done pretty safely. So we might want to consider it for our citizens too.
Okay. So for our city clerk, just to make sure that the recommendation is clear, I hope that you have it clear, Florine, for the minutes, and to make sure that that request is transmitted to the traffic committee. So we'll follow up. Do you have any further information to add, Councilor Kajowski?
Well, just, it's been transmitted to the chair of the traffic committee. It's a valid suggestion. I don't think this is the forum to start debating it and starting to talk the technical details, but certainly it's worth discussing in the next traffic committee meeting.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question.
Mobility
Mobility
committee.
Committee.
We've
Um,
renamed it, Norm. Mobility committee,
Very good.
for the record.
Baha Musa. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I realize that maybe this is not the best place to ask this question, but I'm gonna try my best to ask it anyways. First of all, this is the first part of this is not a question; it's more of a commentary. So over the last 2 months, I've been working with somebody else to present a petition, an online petition to an MNA regarding the CLSC program Chèque Emploi Service. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this is a program that is useful for people who have elderly parents or children with disability, and we can hire workers, and the CLSC would pay back some hours depending on the need. My family benefits from this program, and back in December it was frozen, so no new applications would be accepted, and also there was talk about cutting it entirely. So in the case of my family, this would have been an extra maybe $20,000 a year. We already pay a lot of private hours ourselves, so that would have been considerable. But the health minister said that it's an important program, so it's going to remain. So I'm not too concerned about the Chèque Emploi Service, but today I learned that basically a different program that my family uses, which is the Transport Adapté at the STM. I heard that it's going to be privatized, so it's no longer going to be with the STM perhaps. I don't know much at this point. It's just my question is, considering that there's a very high amount of elderly people in Côte Saint-Luc, and I'm sure a good amount of them use Transport Adapté, is there anything, any way you can help and make sure that the Transport Adapté is, one, not completely cut or replaced by something that is less beneficial?
Okay, well, thank you so much for that comment. Of course, we have a lot of people in the our community that use transport adapté, and Councillor Sabac seems to have perhaps some answers for you, but that's a very interesting question.
Yes, so thank you for your comment. So it was announced this week that transport adapté is going to be privatized. It's a measure to save hundreds of millions of dollars to the STM. You know, there is still going to be the service. It's just the minibus around what we're used to seeing from transport adapté that's going to change. So it's affecting more the, from what I read, it's affecting more the bus drivers. So the unions are now actively trying to fight it as well. So you'll see some pressures. And I think if you look at some buses, now every bus on top, or they're trying to do that instead of having the number, even if it's not a transport adapté, will be saying transport adapté just as a support measure for
Still a free service.
eh?
The service remains free.
The service remain.
No? What is
No,
a bus
it's
ticket?
just it's $3 to $5.
Okay.
You know, and it's door to door, so it's a great service. But I do agree with you. There's it's going to impact a whole bunch of people here. As I've looked into it a little bit, and we are a major hub for transport adapté. So it's a great question. It's a great comment. You know, we certainly hope to have better news. But apparently it's not going to change the service offering. So let's see.
But we'll definitely follow up with, I mean, it's a provincial program, right? So we'll follow up with our M&A and find out more. But thank you for bringing it to our attention. Because
Absolutely.
we certainly want the program to continue.
As far as I'm concerned, my father doesn't necessarily use the bus. It's more like a van.
And they come and they pick you up and
Yeah,
they help you.
Yeah.
Right.
And if there's anything I could do, maybe start another petition, even though I would be more than happy to do my part.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But we'll be on top of it for sure. It's something important for our residents. Many use it.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your time.
Mr. Mayor, can we get a copy of the petition emailed to the city clerk so it can be circulated to council?
You'd like the Chèque Emploi Service petition?
Yes.
Who can I send it to?
Okay. Do we have any other questions online? Anything online? No. Okay. So then we'll move to the next item, which is approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen.
Move.
The approval of the minutes of
Yeah,
January
I
20th,
so move that the
2024.
minutes from the January 20th, 2024 meeting be approved.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And then we move to any business arising from the minutes. So then departmental reports, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The departmental reports for January 2025 be and are hereby approved as drafted.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? Now we can talk about the departmental reports. Okay, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start on the finance side. So, a reminder to residents that the first installment of taxes is due February 21st, 2025, and the second one May 22nd. As I state every year, reminder residents should try to do it on, if they do it online, I should say, to try to do it 2-3 days before, just to make sure they avoid any late fees, because sometimes it takes some time for the banks to transfer. We're beginning of 2025, so we're starting the pre-audit preparation for the 2024 year. And so far, as mentioned previously, it looks like 24 is going to be a good year based on the considerable surplus we had in the transfer duties. Also on the finance side, I want to mention we had, we're starting from scratch. So in the month of January, 12 water filter claims. So these are for homes that were built at a time where lead pipes, lead may have been used for the service line. So again, residents that do have these pipes, we encourage you to get filters that filter out the possible lead in the water. I was going to mention, I was going to mention about the BAP, but the mayor did. So a reminder to residents for Monday the 17th. I'll share also, on the finance side, So we are down to the wire in terms of the tax sale, which is scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m. So as I've said a few times, in my 19 years, we have not had a tax sale. This year, we are down to one property. We've been working very hard to reach out to the owner who's living in the United States. It has not been easy. So we're hoping that it'll be resolved, but this might be the first year in 19 years for me that we may have one. But again, the finance department, legal department, I know are doing everything they can. So hopefully it'll be resolved beforehand. On the environmental side, just a reminder to residents, you should have received a card about this, that bulky waste is now every second week. For information and more details, you can go to the city website. But again, every second week as of I guess, end of January. In terms of VCOPs, and I want to thank our VCOP volunteers, there were 259 hours of volunteer work in January, representing 129.5 shifts and 7 special events throughout the month. So we're very grateful to our volunteers. And last one, I'm happy about the one nice thing about the cold weather we've had for most of January and early February is that the outdoor skating rinks are looking good. So it's seems like it'll be a good season for outdoor skating, including the Schwartz Park skating rink. So for residents who want to go for an outdoor skate, please go ahead. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who wants to speak next? Councillor Cohen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Dr. Sabin, for a very good suggestion. I know that the double left turn on Kildare, the other side coming from Bialik, was instituted many years ago. It's worked out very well. And then we also have the double left turn that brings us towards Fleet. So there is precedent, and I do think that would be a good idea. In an ideal world, we'd also get a crossing guard there. I know our city has tried unsuccessfly, but we do need a crossing guard at the corner of Kildare and Cavendish. And Ms. Abramovich, I'm just wondering, do we still have that in the budget if we find somebody to be a crossing guard at that corner? Do we still have the ability to, if we can find someone to do that job? Councillor Kajavsky, the traffic czar, has his hand up
Go ahead,
also.
Councillor Kajavsky?
Mobility.
Mobility czar.
Chair, mobility.
Me first.
Yep.
So I am of the full belief that should not be in a city budget. All the other crossing guards throughout the city who we see, in particular the one I see every day, there's 3 guys who rotate on the corner of Guelph and Westminster, are all paid for by the SPVM.
They are. Okay,
by
well,
the
can
actual
we
budget. So
can we have an
under no
undertaking?
circumstances will
So
I
can we-
ever support us spending money on a crossing guard. It should absolutely be
So
on
if
the dime of the SPVM.
Our Minister of Finance has a comment
so
to
if
make
I
on
may,
that.
on a point of order, the city of Côte Saint-Luc does fund a crossing guard at the corner of Côte Saint-Luc Road and Westminster for a few hours every day. Côte Saint-Luc is, or at least as of the latest stats I saw, which are a few years old now, I have to admit, so hope maybe it might not be true anymore, but as of the stats from a few years ago, Côte Saint-Luc was the only city on the island of Montreal that had more seniors that were hit by cars than children. Every other city on the island at that point had more children that were hit by cars, which is why at the time we put the crossing guard at Côte Saint-Luc Road in Westminster, because there were a lot of seniors, crossing at that intersection. But I will add, so yeah, we have been paying for a few hours of that crossing guard, and we have been paying for the Cavendish and Kildare. I would say in an ideal situation, Montreal, so Councillor Kajavsky is correct though, in an ideal situation, the SPVM would be covering it, but it's not always a simple one. But to Councillor Cohen's question, I don't know the answer, but I will check and get back to you if not tonight.
I don't expect Ms. Abramovich to have that answer at the tip of her tongue, but I would like this noted. It was kind of a wake-up call from Dr. Sabin. We now have 2 medical clinics, a pharmacy, a daycare that's opened up at the building at the corner of Kildare, and I've spent a lot of time visiting with the different businesses. There's a lot more people who are not taking their cars or parking elsewhere crossing the street. That's the most dangerous intersection in Côte Saint-Luc, and we absolutely need to have a crossing guard. What is Councillor Burku making faces for?
Look, I would just add, first of all, to Councillor Early's point, I've never seen a crossing guard at the corner of Côte Saint-Luc, Westminster, and I'm there several times a day. So I don't know if we actually have someone
This
there.
is departmental
I do
reports.
agree,
Why are
though.
we having a debate
Well,
on-
it wasn't
agree
meant.
that it is a dangerous intersection.
Other people
Kildare.
wanted to intervene. Mayor Brownstein, I was making a comment. Other people wanted to intervene. Now there's facial expressions going on.
Okay,
I'll change
but
the
we're not
subject.
having a debate.
I will change the
Anything else?
subject,
Go.
and I'll carry it on with my blog where there's no interruptions.
Very good.
Thank
Anything
you. I'll
else?
go on to my next subject.
Go ahead.
Fight over crossing guard.
Yeah. So by the way, I did have a chance to meet the Montreal Police Chief Fatty Daguerre today, and if anyone goes to my Instagram at Mike Cohen CSL, you could see my little interview with him. So for the library tonight, it went online. My interview with local authors, Becoming a Power Couple, just in time for Valentine's Day with Gabriella Embaum. Very interesting book. Lots of tips. All the married couples around this table could probably learn something from it. Really, really good one. Our library should take it out. The business of the month for my local commerce committee was Anne Bengira. She just opened up her new pharmacy, moved from Kildare. So she moved from Leor Azarad's district to Mike Cohen's district at the corner of Kildare and Cavendish. Nice little pharmacy to add into the thing. And I'll be going there this weekend, and I'll tell you why next month. It's a big surprise. I can't say what it is, but something very special, and I'll report back to you on it. The local commerce committee, my local commerce committee of students from Bialik, I have a meeting with them on Wednesday night. They will be undertaking a survey of young people and of people in the area of the mall regarding our master plan, getting me some general feedback. And I also have a second committee now of students that has started, and we're going to form a real estate survey, and we're beginning to develop a database of real estate agents who operate out of Côte Saint-Luc, and we're going to be interviewing them about Côte Saint-Luc, what people like about Côte Saint-Luc, why they're buying houses, if anyone is leaving Côte Saint-Luc, why are they leaving Côte Saint-Luc? Anyway, we put together a questionnaire. We have a couple of keen students there. We're looking to add to it. So if anybody is watching this broadcast and they have students, children who are in high school who want to get community service hours, they can contact me at mcohen@cotesaintluc.org. And we have, I'm putting together a lot of projects through our local commerce committee. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Yep. Councilor Gajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just briefly, there's just something to highlight in my district. I'm going to be holding a well overdue District 5 Q&A. Last one I had was about a year and change ago. So it's, like I said, well overdue. So next week, a week from tonight, on February 17th, I'll be sending an email out. I have an email list of about 500 or so constituents. I'll be sending that out tomorrow with a link on Zoom to follow. My wife said I should do it in person, but I think it'll be far more accessible, I think, if on Zoom. But I'll certainly listen if people do want to move back to a live method. Then I'm all for it. And the only other thing is, I had the pleasure of attending a swim meet this past weekend, the GMAA finals, and I'd like to congratulate my daughter on her first medal in swimming in the relays.
Excellent.
So a Côte Saint-Luc hosted event, not a Côte Saint-Luc event, but nonetheless a way of showcasing our aquatic center. That's it for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great. Great to see the next generation. I taught him how to swim. I taught Mitch Gajowski and Pam. Now the next generation, they're swimmers. Okay, anyone else? So we move on to, it's been moved and seconded, all in favor. The departmental reports are carried, and we go to 7, Mike Cohen. It's library, 7A.
I so move that council hereby authorizes the city to request a grant for financial aid from the ministry under the program called Project Support for the projects related to collection, development, and autonomous public libraries for the budget year 2025-2026. That Janine West, Library Director, or in her absence, Lisa Milner, Manager of Administrative and Support Services, be and are hereby authorized to sign all documents related to this request, including the collection, development, policy, and in particular the agreement to be signed with the ministry, that the council confirms that it will auto-finance the budgeted amount for the acquisition of documents for 2025, which will include the amount allotted from the grant that will be given by the ministry. That said resolution shall be accepted for immediate action.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
It's pretty straightforward. In order to apply to the Quebec government for the 2025-26 grant for the purchase of the library documents, we're required to pass a resolution giving authorization to make the application.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried unanimously. We move to item number 8, Finance, resolution to approve the disbursements. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of January 1st, 2025 to January 31st, 2025 for a total amount of $4,502,898.41 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer's Certificate number 25-0042 dated February 4th, 2025 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So I would say this was an average month. Some highlights included some payments for snow removal, our monthly water management fee to CMO, and some payments of holdbacks from the sleeving projects that took place over the summer.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? We're carried unanimously. And we move to item number 9. Councillor Schuster. It's adoption of the Côte Saint-Luc 2023 Assessment of Measures 2024 Action Plan, Assessment of Measures and 2025 Action Plan for Integration of Persons with a Disability.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts the Côte Saint-Luc 2023 Assessments of Measures 2024 Action Plan, 2024 Assessment of Measures, and 2025 Action Plan for integration of persons with a disability. Said plan dated February 10th, 2025 and annexed herewith as Annex F. That council hereby requests that said plan be made available to any resident, visitor, or employee who wishes to consult said plan or obtain a copy thereof. That council hereby requests that in addition, a copy of said plan be deposited for consultation in the city's archives and at the Eleanor London Côte Saint-Luc Public Library.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation. It's a document or a series of documents that essentially audits our city, its infrastructure, its facilities, its public spaces to ensure accessibility for differently abled people. And I can say that since my accident in December, walking with a walker and now a cane from time to time has brought increased sensitivity to me as to the accessibility of different parts of our city. And I think it's an important initiative to ensure that differently abled people have as close to equal access as we feasibly can do, and we improve this year over year. And I just want to thank Associate City Manager Tanya Abramovich for her endless hard work on this document and ensuring that we're a reasonably accessible city.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an excellent document. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Cohen.
As the founding editor, publisher of Inspirations newspaper, which established 17 years ago, I established through the English Montreal School Board, but it's province-wide. Really, I'm very fixed on what we do and as a society for people with special needs, and so I'm very proud that Côte Saint-Luc has taken this initiative. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And then we move on to item 9B. Councillor Cohen.
Yes, I'll read the full resolution because I think it's very important. Whereas the multi-partner Hooked on School Days campaign will be held from February 10th to 14th under the theme Perseverance Makes All the Difference. It's a key moment in the year, one that reflects the collective mobilization around student retention and academic success for all students. Whereas the support and benevolent presence of all adults are essential to academic success, whereas behind every achievement lies perseverance, and it's important to value every effort and every step along the educational path, whereas elected municipal officials wish to demonstrate their solidarity and support for young people and all those involved in the education network, whereas elected municipal officials collaborate in the community's efforts to promote student retention and educational success, whereas an educational elected representatives commit unanimously carried to proclaim the week of February 10th to 14th as Hooked on School Days, to unanimously and publicly express our solidarity and support for all students and stakeholders in the education network, to support the Hooked on School Days 2025 campaign on the theme Perseverance Makes All the Difference, and to invite all elected representatives to take part. We've been asked to send a copy of this resolution to the organization that organizes this. So I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Schuster.
I'd like to say something, and I work, of course, three of us around this table work in the education system, myself at the English Montreal School Board, where I've been for 26 years as the manager of marketing and communications. Andy Schuster works at McGill, and of course, Stephen Erdely is the head of school at JPPS, and very proud, a former EMSB teacher, principal. Sorry, Solomon Schechter. One day he'll be the executive director there too. So I'm wearing my green ribbon here. I was at the launch today. It was in the East End, on Louvain Street in Saint Michel. Very spirited event. They had Education Minister Bernard Dranville, Police Chief Fadi Daguerre, and former NFL player Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who is now a doctor. And in fact, stay tuned to Mike Cohen's Instagram for my interview with him tomorrow. We witnessed a very interesting day, a lot of energy. We saw a very nice side of Bernard Dranville. He was very, very enthusiastic about this event, and he basically was on stage and he interviewed some young students who were in this community center in Saint Michel, and it was like their second chance because they were all thinking of dropping out of school, and this center saved them. And so he was a former broadcaster, and he basically interviewed them. It was pretty cool to watch. I haven't really seen a minister do that before. Kind of like the way I am, I guess, as a city councillor, where I interview people. So it's a very important week. We have a lot of schools in our neighborhood, very important, and I'm sure Councillor Erdely, who works very hard on this dossier, you may or may not want to say anything, but I know that it's for our school board, we have a very high success rate. We have the highest success rate of any school board in the province of Quebec. And what I mean is a school success rate, I mean is graduation rate. And we have many schools in our community. We have Wager Adult Education Center. I went there as a high school. I think a lot of us should go visit it. They have students from all over the world there who are getting their high school education because the language laws fortunately don't apply when you're 16 or more. We of course have our Jewish day schools and a number of neighboring high schools as well, and then the elementary schools. So very important that everyone marks this week in their calendar.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just speak briefly to say that I echo the comments by Councillor Cohen. I think one of the important things we see in education today in general is that the old model of every child having to fit in that box has come and gone. And that today the goal is to support every child. Some children need a bit more support in certain fields or certain domains, and they need enrichment in others. And that's what we try to do today in education. I know it's something that I strive to do in all my roles, and I know it's something they're trying to do in both the public sector and the private sector to make sure to meet the needs and, of course, encourage students to stay in school to achieve their full potential. So definitely this is a cause that's dear to my heart, and hopefully the word will spread. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and then we move on. Thank you. To Human Resources, Councillor Schuster, 10A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of the white-collar auxiliary employees whose names are listed on the document titled Auxiliary Employees, White Collars Hiring, dated January 30th, 2025, and that said employees' terms of employment will be as per the conditions of the collective agreement. That Treasurer Certificate number 25-0038, dated January 30th, 2025, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation that it's a list of lifeguards that we're hiring.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move on to Legal Services, Councillor Burko, 11A. Insurance premiums.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Je vais lire la résolution en français, ce sera pas long, si je la trouve. OK. Alors, attendu que la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc a reçu une facture de BFL Canada Services de risque et assurance datée du 1er janvier 2025 au montant de 628 748,90 $, incluant les taxes applicables pour le paiement des primes d'assurance de biens, de délits et d'honoraires de courtier de la Ville pour l'année civile 2025, tel que ventilé dans la résolution, attendu que la Ville a reçu une facture de Beneva Assurance datée du 19 décembre 2024 pour un montant de 36 544,43 $, pour le paiement des primes d'assurance automobile de la Ville pour l'année civile 2025 pour la flotte de véhicules de la Ville. Il est résolu que le préambule de la présente résolution en fait partie intégrante, comme s'il était ici au long cité, et que le Conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc ratifie et approuve par la présente les contrats d'assurance de biens, de bris des équipements, de délits, de responsabilité primaire, de responsabilité d'administration municipale, de responsabilité civile complémentaire et excédentaire de la Ville et des franchises correspondantes qui sont joints à la présente à titre d'annexe A intitulée Déclaration avis de garantie pour faire partie intégrante du procès-verbal avec les primes correspondantes payables à BFL Canada, risques et assurances du 1er janvier au 2025 au 1er janvier 2026, que le Conseil ratifie et approuve par la présente le contrat d'assurance automobile de la Ville et les franchises correspondantes qui sont joints à la présente à l'annexe B de Beneva pour faire partie intégrante du procès-verbal avec les primes correspondantes payables à Beneva du 1er janvier 2025 au 1er janvier 2026, que le Conseil approuve par la présente le paiement des primes à BFL conformément à la facture datée du 1er janvier 2025, incluant pour le montant de 628 748,90 $, que le Conseil approuve par la présente le paiement des primes à Beneva conformément à la facture datée du 19 décembre 2024 pour un montant de 36 544,43 $, incluant les taxes applicables, que les certificats de trésorier numéro 25-0040 et 25-0041 datés du 4 février 2025 ont été émis par le trésorier de la Ville pour attester la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites ci-dessous.
Proposé par le conseiller Burko et appuyé par le conseiller Azerad. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
Just that these are the premiums that we have to pay for our automobile insurance policy and also for the insurance for the property insurance contracts, equipment breakdown, crime, primary liability, etc., that we have to pay to BFL Canada. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay, it's carried unanimously. We move on to purchasing and general counsel. The first, there's a tabling qui va être faite par notre city clerk.
Donc, je fais le dépôt du rapport annuel sur l'application du règlement 2599, intitulé Règlement 2599, adoptant le règlement 2497 sur la gestion contractuelle pour l'année 2024.
Okay, thank you. So that's the tabling. And then we have to do, Councillor Burkut would be the notice of motion and tabling of the bylaw concerning contract management. It's 12B. Florine did 12A. B.
I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2599-1 to be entitled bylaw 2599-1, amending bylaw 2599 concerning contract management will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And the object and scope of the bylaw to be entitled bylaw 2599-1 concerns contract management. Hang on a second. I have to go back now because I lost my place. Just give me a second. No problem. 12B. Sorry. Okay. Okay. The next one is the.
No, but you gave the notice of motion. Now you just have to say that, and you're also tabling the said draft bylaw. That's all.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
That's it.
You did the notice of motion, and now you have to table the said draft bylaw.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You're right. So I hereby table draft bylaw 2599-1 to be entitled that bylaw 2599-1, amending bylaw 2599 concerning contract management.
Perfect.
Okay. So this is just a minor adjustment to our contract management policy in order to bring it in line with new legislation.
Excellent. All right, so the next one is urban development, and it's a special one. Councillor Erdeling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
13A.
Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby awards a contract for the increase of amperage at Fletcher Park electrical panel to Hydro-Québec for an amount not to exceed $28,271.07 plus applicable taxes, that the City of Côte Saint-Luc's General Council is hereby authorized to sign the aforementioned contract on behalf of the city, and that Treasurer Certificate number 25-0034 dated January 29th, 2025 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdeling, seconded by Councillor Kachowski. Any discussion?
So I'll give some background on this one. So as I've stated before, on the section of Bailey just across from Fletcher Park is our first, in Côte Saint-Luc, our first and right now only on-street charging station for electric vehicles in District 4 and the city of Côte Saint-Luc. We were powering it off the grid from Fletcher Park across the street. Now what happened in the late summer, fall, we added a bathroom in Fletcher Park, which took some time, but happily was installed. The problem is once we installed the bathroom, with the power going to that new bathroom, plus the power for the lights in the park, and so on, and the two chargers, we realized we were approaching and even surpassing the 100 amps, which was the total of the park. So what we did, or what we're doing, is increasing it from 100 amps to 200 amps. This is somewhat of a standard thing that people do in their own house. I actually did this in my house many years ago. So it's just a bit more complicated because of the outdoor nature of the Fletcher Park and so on. But with this upgrade, it'll be done, and we'll be able to use both chargers and, of course, the lights and the bathroom and so on. Because the last little while we've had an issue with only one of the chargers working. So hopefully that'll all be resolved with this contract. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? No one's opposed. So it's carried unanimously. And then we move on to item 13B. Councillor Benizri.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le Conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat à Catalonia Construction 9372-2171 Québec Inc. pour l'achat et l'installation d'un mini-garage préfabriqué pour un montant estimé de 50 822 $ et 70 sous, plus les taxes applicables. Que les dépenses décrites seront financées intégralement à partir du règlement d'emprunt numéro 2648. Que l'octroi du contrat soit conditionné à l'approbation du dit règlement de financement par le ministère des Affaires municipales de l'Habitation, le MAM, que le certificat du trésorier numéro 25-0039 a été émis le 31 janvier 2025 par le trésorier de la ville attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé par le conseiller Benizri et appuyé par le conseiller Azarad. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
C'est pour l'achat d'un mini-garage préfabriqué pour le département des travaux publics.
Excellent. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Everyone's in favor. It's carried unanimously. And then we move on to the stance at the AGLO, Councillor Azarad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in March 2025 as follows. To authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of the Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in March 2025 based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councillor Azarad, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move on to other business. 15A, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas Canada is home to one of the largest Haitian diasporas in the world, numbering more than 180,000 persons, of whom some 160,000 reside in Quebec, mostly within the Montreal metropolitan community. Whereas Jovenel Moïse, the 43rd president of Haiti, was assassinated on July 7, 2021, unleashing a period of violence and instability that has led to thousands of persons being killed as armed gangs have attacked the nation's democratic infrastructure and taken control of much of Port-au-Prince, the capital, and large parts of the countryside. Whereas on December 6 to 11, 2024, over 207 people were brutally massacred on the in the Wharf Jeremy section of Cité Soleil, one of the poorest neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince, according to a report from the United Nations. Whereas in the past months, the situation in Haiti has deteriorated further, displacing as many as 1 million persons internally, with many seeking safety in the Dominican Republic. Whereas the Dominican Republic has reacted by deporting thousands in likely contravention of its treaty obligation under international law to shelter and protect refugees. Whereas gangs have launched further attacks, closing hospitals, government buildings, and the airport in Port-au-Prince. Whereas a multinational security support mission led by Kenya, which arrived in Haiti in early 2024 with a mandate to restore public security, has been unable to do so as it has limited mandate of engagement and inadequate armaments have seen it forced to retreat in the face of the better armed gangs. Whereas Leslie Voltaire, the current president of the Transitional Presidential Council, has appealed to Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez, asking that the current multinational security support mission be transformed into an official United Nations peacekeeping mission, citing the urgency of Haiti's situation. Whereas the Black Coalition of Quebec and United Against Hate Canada have issued an appeal for Canada to do more to aid Haiti, including through the office of Bob Ray, Canada's permanent representative to the United Nations. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council supports the demands of the Transitional Presidential Council that the multinational security support mission be transformed into an official United Nations peacekeeping mission, that the City Council of Côte Saint-Luc supports the call of the United Nations Commissioner on Refugees demanding that the Dominican Republic stop deporting migrants and asylum seekers to Haiti amid the surge of gang violence, that the City Council of Côte Saint-Luc urges the Canadian government to augment its humanitarian aid to Haiti and pledge not to deport any Haitian refugees until the restoration of a stable and safe environment in the country, and that the City Council of Côte Saint-Luc directs its clerk to send copies of this resolution to the Prime Minister of Canada, the Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Member of Parliament for Mount Royal, as well as all Quebec municipalities on the island of Montreal.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion? Go ahead.
I just want to make a mention, and I want to thank Marvin Rotran, who was the one who shared this resolution with me originally. I made a few small changes to it, or adapted it slightly, but this is something that's important. It's one of the stories we hear about in the news, briefly touched upon, but it's a tragic situation and one we hope we can help to make a little bit better. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank Marvin Rotran and Councillor Erdely for taking on this role to present the resolution. It was given to us by Marvin and redrafted a bit by Councillor Erdely, and I thank you both for bringing it to our council. So it has been moved and seconded. All in favor? It's carried unanimously. And now, second question period. Do you have any questions? Go ahead. Oh, you have a resolution?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
you have it. Okay, good. Good.
So I'm just gonna explain it first. So, or I'll propose it, and then maybe I'll explain it afterwards. OK. So, considérant que la ville de Côte Saint-Luc est une ville liée de l'agglomération de Montréal, que lors de la séance de l'agglomération en date du 23 janvier 2025, le Conseil a adopté le règlement autorisant un emprunt intitulé « Le règlement autorisant un emprunt de 20 millions de dollars afin de financer l'acquisition de terrain dans le cadre du projet quartier Namur Hippodrome, item 42.02, dossier JDD 124 55 69 001, ci-après appelé le règlement, considérant que la Ville veut déposer son opposition au règlement d'emprunt au motif qu'il n'est pas conforme aux règles de loi et qu'il est inéquitable, injuste et abusif, il est résolu de donner mandat aux avocats désignés par l'ASM de déposer une opposition devant la Commission municipale du Québec dans les délais légaux. Je demande un appuyeur.
Okay, moved by
Councillor
Councillor
Erdely.
Bricker, seconded by
Okay,
Councillor
so
Erdely.
I'm just going to explain. The ASM mayors today met to mandate a lawyer's office to contest a borrowing bylaw, which was adopted by the agglomeration for $20 million in order to finance the acquisition of properties in and around the Namur Hippodrome project. Namur Hippodrome not being an agglomeration responsibility, but is really a responsibility of the City of Montreal. The mayors gave the mandate to contest this borrowing bylaw, first by filing an opposition at the Municipal Commission, and then to take it one step further by going to Superior Court as required. But the first step is to take it to the Municipal Commission. Now, we don't have the formal resolution that's going to be circulating amongst the ASM mayors, and the council felt that we should adopt the resolution tonight since we're having our meeting tonight. And in the event that the ASM mayors and the lawyers want us to adopt a more specific resolution, then we will do we can do that at a later meeting. So this is a general one, just authorizing lawyers to file an opposition at the Municipal Commission. And if we need to, I just want to advise my colleagues that if we need to file something more specific, then we might have to do it at a later date. Okay, so this is the first resolution.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? So that one's carried unanimously. All right. So if we have no further business and no further questions, I'll ask for a motion for adjournment. Councillor Cohen?
I so move, Mr. Mayor. Very quick meeting.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? Thank you all. We're adjourned. Have a lovely evening, and thank you very much.